The gospel today presents us with, I think, a tremendous and kind of weird or disturbing contrast with the first reading. And the first reading has this beautiful image of people from all the nations of the earth coming to worship and offer sacrifice to God in the holy city. And it's this beautiful image of this kind of unity in the world, unity in the worship and the love of God. And in the gospel, at least in the first half of the gospel, we have this Canaanite woman pleading with Jesus to help her possessed daughter, and Jesus is just playing hard to get. And, why is he giving her the cold shoulder? And I think if we think about what the woman must have initially experienced at first, it's a really difficult and a powerful experience that she had with Jesus, because she's crying out to him, and the disciples are, trying to shoo her away or whatever. But there's this line, she tells Jesus, "My daughter is tormented by a demon." But Jesus did not say a word in answer to her. She gets the silence of God. And I think that's something fairly common, actually, in the life of believers, that at certain times it might seem like God is very close and we feel his presence and he's answering our prayers. And at other times, silence. Why? I think there are actually a lot of explanations for it, but I only want to talk about one today. And I think fundamentally, God allows us to keep calling out to him and keeps leaving our prayers sometimes unanswered because it's good for us. And more specifically, that calling out to him over and over again, pursuing him even when it seems like he doesn't want to be bothered, increases our faith and actually makes us more able to open our hearts in love to him. Now that seems very odd, but it's actually a dynamic that's present not just in our relationship with God, but in our relationship with others. So one of my side academic interests is psychology. I've never studied it formally, but I like reading about it. And this past summer, I read an excellent book. It's a classic. It's almost 3 decades old, but it's still a great read and very insightful. It's called Influence by Robert Cialdini. And he's exploring how do people or how do organizations get influence over others. And a lot of this pertains to marketing, but not just that. How is it that people pull us in, that products and corporations pull us in? And he says one of the most powerful things that gives a person or an organization influence is when someone has to pay to join them in some way. Now, I'm going to be chaplain at Hope College here, and so the obvious college analogy is fraternities. And he explores this issue in the book. He asks, why is it that people put themselves through these time-consuming, outrageous, occasionally heinous and obscene rituals in order to join a fraternity? And even more importantly, why do fraternities keep doing these things and demanding them of their members, even though at some colleges they've been threatened with expulsion for this? But they won't let go of this. Why? And he said, because it is the guarantee of their social fabric, that by having the pledges go through all of these things, that's their buy-in. And because they pay this high price, they value the fraternity. That's the key part. It's not that they value the fraternity so much that they do all these things. It's by doing these things that their loyalty to the fraternity is created. So why does God allow this Canaanite woman to ask and to ask and to plead and beg over and over again? That's her buy-in. Her pursuit of God, her pursuit of having him answer her prayer, is what also opens her up to having her prayer answered and to receiving what God wants to give her. And I think it relates to the nature of faith itself. There's a passage I want to read to you from a book that I read in seminary, and it's by a guy who was a missionary in Africa for many, many years. And he went into the interior of Africa to a people who had never heard of Jesus before. They were cattle ranchers. They're the Maasai people. And he worked for a long time, and finally most of the tribe, if not all of the tribe, ended up converting to Catholicism. And he recalls this incident in his book where he's talking to one of the Maasai elders, long after this man's conversion. And here's what he says. I was sitting talking with a Maasai elder about the agony of belief and unbelief. He used two languages to respond to me, his own and Kiswahili. He pointed out that the word my Maasai catechist, Paul, and I had used to convey faith was not satisfactory in their language. It meant literally to agree to. I knew myself that the word had this shortcoming. He said to believe like that was similar to a white hunter shooting an animal with his gun from a great distance. Only his eyes and his finger took part in the act. We should find another word. He said, for a man to really believe is like a lion going after its prey. His nose and his eyes and ears pick up the prey. His legs give him the speed to catch it. All the power of his body is involved in the terrible death leap and the blow to the neck with the front paw, the blow that actually kills. And as the animal goes down, the lion envelops in its arms, pulls to himself, and makes it part of himself. This is the way a lion kills. This is the way a man believes. This is what faith is. And I think Jesus knows that too, and that's why he allows this woman to put her whole self into going after him, into begging, into going and pursuing the one person she knew could really help her and help her daughter. And it changes her. The process of praying over and over again changes her. But I think there's something else here too going on that we would sort of miss, and I think we would fail to realize the connection of this gospel with the first reading if we didn't point to it. So here's the question. When the woman says, Lord, even the dogs eat the scraps that fall from the table of their masters, Jesus' reply is, oh, woman, great is your faith. So here's the question. Where did that faith come from, if not from God himself? So in the first reading, we have this image of all these people coming to the heavenly Jerusalem and worshiping God and offering sacrifice to him, and it's this beautiful picture. But where did their faith come from? If it's just about what we do, if it's just about our pursuit, if it's just about our asking God, then faith is something just that we create. But that's not what faith is. It's impossible to know God unless he reveals himself to us. And so he compliments her faith. Jesus compliments the woman's faith, but it's already a gift that he's given her. And I think this kind of completes the picture of what's going on. The reason that this woman is able to go up to Jesus and ask him for something is because God, in pursuit of us, has become man here on earth. That the story is ultimately not about the woman's pursuit of Jesus, it's the culmination of Jesus' pursuit of her. And there's this beautiful passage from the book that I want to end with and offer to you. And the priest, the missionary, says, I looked at the elder in silence and amazement, but my wise old teacher was not finished yet. We did not search you out, Father, he said to me. We did not even want you to come to us. You searched us out. You followed us away from your house, into the bush, into the plains, into the steppes where our cattle are, into the hills where we take our cattle for water, into our villages and into our homes. You told us of the high God, how we must search for him. even leave our land and our people to find him. But we have not done this. We have not left our land. We have not searched for him. He has searched for us. He has searched for us, and he has found us. All the time we think we are the lion. In the end, the lion is God.